Hey guys, it's Dotson with another Low Poly Panda review. This time we're looking at Diablo IV, with the review based on the PS5 version. Let's get into it. Can you believe it's been 11 years since Diablo III came out? Guess you could say we've been waiting a hell of a long time for this one? Yeah. Let's just talk about Diablo IV. It's finally available on last and current gen consoles and PC. Although this review is based on the release version of the PS5, I did try it out, at least in the beta, on PC. I'll say it feels just as good on console as it does on PC. There are some weird control issues on console I don't have on PC, but we'll talk about that when we get to the gameplay. For now, let's start with the graphics. Dungeon crawler games like this aren't exactly the pinnacle of graphics with their top-down views and their zoom level, meaning you'd be forgiven for not being super detailed on models or on backgrounds. That being said, they really did a good job here. All 5 classes, male or female, are well modeled and animated. There's decent customization on them to make them kind of your own when you're looking at them from afar. And with a lot of different spells and attacks having their own flair, it's graphically pleasing. There are some annoying parts, like walking around with a necromancer who just turns your whole screen black with a modified corpse explosion, but also fills it with like 18 pets that look like enemy mobs. But the areas are all great. There's lots of viewpoints to look out upon, and you kind of see how much love and detail they put into the world. I wouldn't mind some accessibility options to lessen the spell effects that kind of clog up the screen, or at least, like make it more clear to see if you're standing in your own poison, an ally's poison, or the enemy's poison that are all just green globs on the ground. There's in-engine cutscenes with your character that are all okay, but the cinematic cutscenes are absolutely excellent, like Blizzard always does. Especially the ones near the end of the game that were used for the trailer with full-on assault on hell. Just phenomenal. Sound-wise, there's unique voice actors for all 5 classes and both sexes, and all 10 did a good job. Your character doesn't have as many spoken lines throughout the campaign as the support characters do, but they're all delivered well. Some leave a little to be desired, like the male druid voice I think was kind of lackluster, but I think that's just how he was directed to speak. There's a chaos of sound in combat when you're fighting 24 mobs all using different spells and attacks while you're rolling your face across your spell bar. But it's all done well. Attacks have their own unique sounds, and a good blend of background music helps you along the way. The standout for me, though, was Ralph Anderson, who voices Lorath. His voice just really tickles your ear, just right.
If you're going to trespass into my home, rifle through my things.
The voice actor for Lilith also does a great job, and I was really happy with all the performances overall. But the reason we all play dungeon crawlers is gameplay. More specifically, the replayability of these games, which hinges on good mechanics. So firstly, let's get the story out of the way. It's 50 years after the events of Diablo III, well, DLC at least, Reaper of Souls. Lilith returns to Sanctuary to have a tussle with her ex-boo Nereus, and you get wrapped up in it because demons are dicks. You're not the Nephilim this time, or a super chosen one, you're just kind of in the right place at the wrong time, and instead of having a sane reaction,
Fuck this.
you jump right into the thick of it. The story can be done out of order with acts available for you right away. There's so many side missions that can distract you from just everything that you can severely outlevel the quest. Now the game adjusts the levels to you once you hit that minimum and keep going, so you might be underleveled for a few areas at some point, but you'll never be overleveled. I'd recommend burning through the story though as soon as possible, mainly for the mount that you get. You get it in Act 5 and it's immediately available to all of your characters, and then it also unlocks the in-game content, which allows you to skip the story on any alternate characters you might have. It's hard to judge because I messed with a lot of side quests and swapped between my solo druid and my co-op sorcerer, but I think the story ran around 40 hours on World Tier 2. There have been some annoying controls throughout that playtime, especially with pets, like attacking walls instead of mobs, and the aiming on the controller isn't as precise as you'd like it to be. Sometimes I'd shoot a fireball, and it would go for the lone mob that was walking by instead of the huge grouping of them that you were fighting, just because it was walking slightly in front of the others. But Barbarian, Necromancer, Sorcerer, Rogue, Druid, they're all very different playstyles. Unfortunately, there's only a few builds in each that are really effective. yeah, you could play anything, but those big skill trees, it's pretty clear what's most effective pretty quick out of the gate. Thankfully, you can respec on the fly for cheap, and there's plenty of loot that'll alter your abilities and might lead you to find a different playstyle that suits you better. I ran through to level 50 on both a solo druid and in co-op with a sorcerer. I'd say the sorcerer definitely felt more powerful, but more vulnerable, as you'd expect a caster to be. Barbarian kind of felt a bit weak, with Rogue being a later game hard hitter, and Necro just being easy with all the pets you get for large mobs, but a little more difficult for solo bosses. Each class, I'd say, has its own pros and cons, and everyone will like different ones for different reasons. Just play it to your heart's content. Co-op worked for the most part, with some problems on connectivity and rubber banding, and a little bit of lag throughout the different sessions. I'm sure this will be worked on the longer it's into its life cycle, because Diablo 3 is a pretty seamless experience right now. It's something to take note of, though. In-game wise, you can clear the map of all side quests, dungeons, unlock aspects, and level all the way up to 100. There's special areas for PvP and for collecting blood for a tree to give you loot, which is tied to the story, so I won't say much more. It's repetitive, but all dungeon crawlers are. There's a satisfying loot cycle, and I'm looking forward to Season 1. It will be mid-July when that drops. Does kind of suck, though, is the Season Pass cannot be progressed with your normal characters, only your Season character. Now, I know in previous Diablo games, when you're playing a Season role to unlock that Season loot, from completing certain quests, hitting certain levels, obviously you had to do it on a Season character, but with this being a paid Season Pass that you have to take part in, I'd kind of like to be able to progress it leveling my main characters. But overall, what do we think? It's definitely the best Diablo I've played, and therefore the best dungeon crawler I've stepped into. There are some changes I would make, as I mentioned before, and there are some network issues to work out still. But overall, great game. It's deserving of its praise it's getting. Go out and buy it, and we'll see you in the PvP zones. As always, thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and be sure to comment below what game you want to see us review. We'll see you in the next one.